everyone, thank you so much for clicking on the video. And I assume that something from the title must have caught your attention, much like it did for me when I picked up this book. 365 Ways to Have a Great Day is the title of the book. And I really liked it because number one, the way that it's set out is that they're very short chapters. So it's like 365 chapters explaining one way to have a good day. And I think that's a great way to kind of get into reading or to be in a habit of reading if you have these short chapters that can be at least one per day that you want to read. It's really great. It's not a story whereby each part relies on the previous one. So you can kind of pick up where you left off and just continue reading, and it all makes sense. So basically, the premise of it is that he will give bits of advice on how to have a great day for a whole year. And obviously, I can't fit in 365 pieces of advice in this whole video. I mean, I could, it would probably be a lot longer then, or I wouldn't be able to go in as great detail. What I do want to do is pick out some of the pieces of advice that I found to be most impactful to me, that I enjoyed the most. And if you really enjoyed listening to it, you can pick up the book. And yeah, hopefully the ones that I found to be very, very impactful are also impactful for you so that you get some value out of this. I think it's also interesting that the author, Ian Sanders, is very interesting. He's had multiple jobs of being a coach and a creative consultant and even a radio presenter. So he's kind of worn many different hats, which gives a sense of flavor to all of this advice too. This book was also written post-COVID, which I think is important because I think the way that we think about work and living changed since COVID. So I like this perspective and I hope you enjoy. I'm going to start off rather chronologically with the day one or the first piece of advice out of the 365 pieces of advice. And the way that this starts off is by asking yourself, when was the last time you had a good day? Think about what were some of the elements of that day and what made it good. And this piece of advice, the heading or a way to remember it is think like a chef. So just as a chef would, and as I speak about this, I think of MasterChef. I don't know if anybody watches MasterChef, but I know that when I watched MasterChef, something that I noticed with the chefs that cook on the show, for those of you who don't know what MasterChef is, basically it's like a whole bunch of amateur chefs will come on to the show and they will have a whole bunch of challenges. They may get like 5 random ingredients and they need to make a dish from it or something similar. And what they tend to do is if they've made a sauce, for example, and it's very acidic, they know they need to balance it out with some sugar. Or if they've made something that's pretty bland, they know they need to maybe add some sort of ingredient that has an interesting flavor so that it can lift up this dish. And so take this approach to your day. If you're having a day that is a bit bland or maybe is a bit acidic, whatever that means to you, understand how you can balance it out or bring up your day. And it's really helpful to reflect on that first question that I asked, when was the last time you had a good day? What were you doing? To understand the core elements of what makes a good day to you. And you might not always be able to bring every single element to every day, but if you have a good understanding of those elements that really help you have a good day, you can bring in one when you need to balance out an acidic day or a sour day. Or if you want to think about it even on a larger scale, you can make sure that you get at least one of these elements every day of the week so that you know that you're building this into your routine. So when I did this and I thought about it, I know that I've had a good day when I've been outside. This is a big one for me. If I've had a walk or a run or some sort of exercise, if I've laughed with somebody that I'm close to, if I've enjoyed my food, these are just some things that I really found, and they're fairly simple. As I'm saying them to you, even I'm realizing how simple it is. It's very easy to make, for example, going outside just one element to balance out a day that I've had. So think about it, think of the elements that give you a good day, make a list of it, keep adding to the list, make it a living list. And when you do have tougher days, which you will, then you can just bring out one or a few things from that list to help elevate your day, or even just make sure that you add like good sprinkles into your routine. The next piece of advice that the author gives, and wow, do I love it, is a piece of advice number 10. Know what success looks like. And I think this is so wise and such a vital thing to think about, because success looks different to everybody. Even if we, for example, have the same job, what might be successful to you in a job might be earning a certain amount of money, and that's perfectly fine. And that's what motivates you to work hard. What might make somebody else feel successful is knowing that they assisted somebody and really made a difference in their world. So, knowing what success looks like for you is really crucial, because you will stay true to you and be able to measure yourself against your own standards, even though people have other versions of success and other ways that they measure success. That's okay. It's not bad to think that earning a lot of money makes you successful. It only feels bad when you take that on as your measure of success, when that doesn't feel authentic to you. So it's very much worth it to think about what success looks like to you, and to think about it in multiple aspects of your life or situations. Work is one that I've just spoken about. Even when you kind of pick up a new hobby, or exercising, for example, what does success look like for you now that you've started exercising? Is it to look a certain way? Is it to feel a certain way? Is it to have more energy? What is it? Know what success looks like, and let it be true to you, and then measure yourself against that, as long as it's your own measure and one that feels right for you and not somebody else's measure. And I think this is great. When I started running, I was very clear to myself of what my success was. My success, in case you want to know, is just finishing. I've done a half marathon. I am in no ways a speedy runner. Success for me is not in the time, it's just in finishing and knowing that I did a hard thing, and that makes me feel fulfilled. So when other people can say they have really fast paces and finish races, I can feel so happy for them and their measures of success, because it's not mine, and that's okay, and we can coexist happily. Bit of advice number 19 is get some light bulbs in the shower. This is quite a funny one, but basically, the author said that he gets his best ideas in the shower. And he says that when he's trying to get creative or think of an innovative solution, he will literally go and shower, because that is a place where he knows he gets his best ideas. And this is a great piece of advice, because when we need to be creative or think of something innovative, we're often in the least creative scenario, i.e., a meeting or right behind your desk. So take this in your own world and think about, where do you come up with your most creative ideas? Is it on a walk? Is it while you're driving? I know for me, when I thought about this, it's right when I'm falling asleep. And that just could be because it's a time when you can really be quiet and not have to focus on a lot of other things. So that's when I think of good ideas. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm literally gonna go and have a nap in the middle of the day. It just means that you can take this awareness and use it to your advantage. So if you're like me and you know you get your best ideas when you sleep, I'm not going to force some innovative idea during the day. I might just make a note of it and make sure to think about it that evening before I go to sleep, and have a notebook next to me so I can write about it. And then the next day I can approach it. Alternatively, if yours is going on a walk, that's a bit easier. You can go for a walk when you need to think of something creative. So think about this, reflect on when you've had really good ideas, and see how you can incorporate it into your day or into the times where you do need to get creative and innovative, and see how it goes. Piece of advice number 45 is enjoy a micro exchange. And the author Ian of this book borrowed this from Narina Hertz's book, The Lonely Century. And basically, a micro exchange is a small interaction that you have with somebody else. So this author takes it and says, enjoy a micro exchange. Try and plant a small positive interaction with somebody into your day. So that could be literally just smiling at a stranger that you pass. It could be saying, hello, how are you, to somebody that you regularly see and maybe you don't always get to talk to them. Think about this. It's micro, so there's no pressure. It doesn't have to be this great big exchange or this great big heartfelt conversation. It's just a small positive interaction that you can put into your day that will make you feel good and might even really make that other person feel good. And I know that in my life, this is very true. I've had a lot of micro exchanges. The one that comes to mind for me is when I walk into work, there's a security lady by the door, and I remember the first time I actually spoke to her, and now, not every day, now and again we can kind of have a conversation or just have this micro exchange, and it's really great. And I would say that we formed a connection just over these multiple micro connections that's all threaded together. And that's really it. That's what the author's trying to get across, is that we feel good when we feel connected to others, and sometimes we're so in our worlds, or we might work from home, that we feel disconnected, and micro exchanges are a way of getting that connection back. Bit of advice, or another way to have a good day, and this is day 59, is write it down. And I love this one. I'm a huge fan of the idea behind this. The author says write things down, and he kind of wraps it all up really well by saying, and I don't want to get it wrong, my brain is for having ideas, not storing information. So we use a lot of our brain's energy and capacity by trying to remember things that we could easily just write down and take a little bit of the mental load off, so that we can use that energy for coming up with ideas or doing whatever other amazing stuff that you do with your head and what you think about. So, and I'm a huge believer in this. I love making to-do lists because you spend so much energy and time trying to remember what you need to do, or you forget it and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot that. I actually needed to do that. If you write a to-do list, a daily to-do list, or have some sort of tracker, you can just take that pressure off. You can make sure that you remember to do the things that you need to do, so that you can use all your brain's energy on actually doing them really well. And I did read a book, The Bullet Journal, that has a great kind of tactic on how to write things down and remembering them, and how to really use this. It really builds on this piece of advice. So let me know if you would be interested in learning about the bullet journal method and how to really write things down in a great systemized way. I will do that for you. I will summarize that book too. If you can write things down to try remember it and like take that weight off yourself, do it, and then see how it just lifts some of that pressure off. Bit of advice number 267 is value keyifli, and I hope that I'm pronouncing it correctly because it's a Turkish word. It's spelled Keyifli, and it roughly translates to finding pleasure in the small things. So it's very similar to the idea of micro exchanges, although this doesn't have to involve people necessarily. It's just enjoying and taking note of the simple pleasures in life whenever you can. So these are the random moments in your day when you can just stop and appreciate something that is there. You just need to notice it. So I know for me, when I drive to work, now that it's winter, the sun comes up a bit later. So as I'm driving to work, it's usually the sunrise. And to just stop and look at that, I find to be quite a simple pleasure. Another one is just really having a cup of coffee or tea or whatever hot beverage you enjoy, and sitting there without too many distractions and actually just enjoying the beverage and really noticing how warm it is and how it tastes. I think you can tell I'm in winter, so that feels good. But if you're in another season, having something really ice and cold, and just really tasting that and enjoying the way that it cools you down. For me, kefli really is also something like enjoying my dog. I love my dog to bits. So just looking over at him and seeing like that's my child and all the love in his eyes and just that he's there and that I have him. So think of those for you. Maybe write down carefully somewhere as a little reminder to look for the simple pleasures and to appreciate them. And if you already have one that comes to mind, leave a comment down below on what this means to you or an example of carefully for you. I think it's a really, really great way of summing that up. Bit of advice number 291, put your life into it. And I like this because I see this as having two parts. On the one hand, it means give everything to what you do. If you care about something, try your best. If it's worth doing, do it really well and put your all into it. And obviously this is like dependent. I'm not saying go and burn yourself out and work yourself to the core. If you really care about something and you have the means to put the effort in and give it your all, do your best so that when you're done, you can say, I really tried my best. The other side of this is put your life into it. There's only one you that's had all the experiences that you've had that can come up with ideas in the way that you do and express them in the way that you do. So whilst you give of your best and put in all the efforts, put your own little twist on it. Add your individuality where you can, because that's what makes you special. So when you get that idea that's a bit different or quirky, say it, because that's where really cool things come about. And that's what the author is trying to get across here, is give it your all and make it something about you, or add your own individuality to it, because that's what makes everybody special. I want to share piece of advice number 260. And the last piece of advice I'm going to share for this video, stay close to you. And I'm going to read the quote directly because I think it's beautifully put. The key to the meaning of life is knowing what is sacred, what really matters to you. Being in the now, celebrating being alive, making the right choices that are aligned with your passions and values. Having agency where to put your attention, identifying what freedom means to you and living by your rules, not someone else's. Being stimulated by a sense of purpose, going with your gut. What I get from this is bits and pieces of all the advice I've shared so far and all the rest that's in the book is know what's important to you, know what makes you happy, know what you value, know what the rules that you want to live by are, and stay close to them, be true to them, stay close to you. We can all have different values and have different rules that we want to live according to, and that's wonderful. You only do yourself an injustice when you live according to somebody else's, knowing that that doesn't feel right. So get to know yourself in this way and then stay true to you no matter what, because what you value and what makes you happy is worth staying close to or being close to. And that's a quick video on the book 365 Ways to Have a Good Day. I really hope you enjoyed it. I like this. As I said, it's punchy, so it's easy to read. So if you want to get back into reading and you enjoyed some of these ideas, you can definitely pick up the book, and I think it's a great read to have every night or every morning. Also some really wonderful wisdom in it, and I like the fact that it's really pushing authenticity, staying true to you and getting to know yourself better so that you can live according to things that make you happy. I think that's really special, and I appreciate the ideas that were put forward. Please leave any comments, questions, or thoughts down below, and thank you so much for your time.